So hopefully you have gotten into the chat on Canvas to type in the answers to the question, what did you learn about the Counter-Reformation, Calvin or Zwingli? Church started to make priests go to school during this time, when they believed all the religions were wrong, or at least should be confronted. Big religious reforms. But today's schedule, the DBQ for this unit is posted in the second module. So the same thing. You'll find the main idea for each document and 3 pieces of evidence at the end. You'll relate the 2 documents in 3 different ways. The notes today will get to cover the Holy Roman Empire and the beginning of the 30 Years' War. And then at the end, you can have some time to work on the chart or the readings, or if you need some more time to finish up the DBQ, you can do that in the second half of the class. But if you haven't already, in the AP2 module, click on the AP2 DBQ, the document-based question. You'll see that the question is, how did those critical of and loyal to the church differ in their opinion and early strategy? So you can see the first one are excerpts from Martin Luther's 95 Thesis. And then the second one is Henry VIII. This is before the split in the church. So he was still a loyal Catholic at the time. He wrote a defense of the Catholic Church. And so those are the 2 different documents that you'll be looking for, the main idea and 3 pieces of evidence. And then answer the questions down below. What is the historical context? How are the documents similar and how the document is different? So that you would just click submit and text box will open up and you will complete that. And after 25 minutes have gone by, we'll go ahead and go over the notes for today. For the notes today, we'll look at the Holy Roman Empire. And we'll also look at the 30 Years' War. But just to start with the Holy Roman Empire, and that's a map of the different entities that exist within it. It exists in modern-day Germany, of course, over into Belgium, and then also parts of northern Italy as well. But it dates back to the year 962 and King Otto the First. And Otto is a Saxon king. So this is before the existence of most of the modern day nationality titles, like British, for instance, or French. The Saxon king, of course, wanted to be legitimate. So he wanted to be crowned by the Pope. The Pope also, thinking back to the glory days of the Roman Empire, the organization that put the Catholic Church on the map, wanted to have a new Roman Empire. So why not have a large state of some type that can exist? And so those 2 ideas would come about to create the Holy Roman Empire. The problem is that nobles throughout this obviously don't like the idea of having someone in charge of them, and they're certainly not going to support them with troops or taxes or anything like that. So the Holy Roman Empire, right from the beginning, is kind of a weaker situation than the modern countries that we'll see start to evolve in the 1400s. The Golden Bull, which is another papal declaration dictated that the Holy Roman Emperor would be elected. So that tried to appease some of the nobles within the system.
The emperor would be elected.
You got it. The electors would be 7 German princes. 7 German princes. Knowing, of course, that if they themselves legitimize or give weight to this system, they'll end up having a powerful monarch above them. So time after time, purposely, they pick someone that is weak. Either they're not a good leader, or they already have other responsibilities, so they couldn't possibly spend time on running the Holy Roman Empire. So they picked weak people because they didn't want someone else to be authoritative or dominant over them. By the year 1500, about 300 of the smaller states, city-sized or a little bit bigger, end up leaving the Holy Roman Empire. You got it, 300. Weakening it even further in 1555 was the Peace of Augsburg. Augsburg is spelled Augsburg. Augsburg. The Peace of Augsburg settled kind of the first comparatively minor conflict, the Schmalevik Wars, over what to do about the Protestant Reformation. The Peace of Augsburg in 1555 guaranteed that the local noble will have a say over religion. So the local noble will control religion. And showing that the Holy Roman Empire was not united at all, Frederick III of Palatine, who is an elector, will eventually himself convert to Protestantism. So they will not all remain united with the Catholic Church. And so then we get to the 30 Years' War, which occurred most but not all the time between 1618 and 1648. Now, you could make a statement that it was simply a war between Catholics and Protestants, but it also involved politics as well. And in fact, sometimes it did not come as cleanly as one versus the other. Sometimes Catholics got involved and allied with Protestants, vice versa. So it didn't always stay as clean cut as it might appear. Despite the fact that it dragged on for 30 years, lots of people lost their lives and there was economic upheaval. The one thing that it did settle is there really won't be a large scale war involving religion in Western civilization after this point. So the fact that a weak government, the fact that the electors were divided, and the fact that there was this religious division ended up causing the war. Rudolph II of Bohemia. Rudolph.
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 Rudollf.
Rudolph.
Rudollf.
Rudolf. The second of Bohemia, which is a territory in modern day Germany. Rudolph II of Bohemia was the Holy Roman Emperor. And in 1575, he decided he was going to start persecuting or harassing Lutherans.
What did you say, sir?
1575, he started persecuting Lutherans. His armies ended up attacking Protestants in modern-day Hungary and the Balkans, which is where Greece and some of those countries north of it are. So, Hungary and the Balkans. His armies began attacking Protestants. So, of course, the Protestants aren't going to take this sitting down, so they ended up revolting. Taking this as a signal that things are about to change, Archduke Ferdinand II of Austria. Archduke Ferdinand II of Austria decides to give up on religious toleration. He says, why are we tolerating these Protestants? Let's just throw in the towel. Take matters into our own hands.
Religious what?
Religious toleration. So he withdraws with religious toleration.
Didn't something happen with Ferdinand fella in a certain World War?
Yes, Archduke Ferdinand in the beginning of World War I was killed, assassinated along with his wife, causing the war to start. There's a brief Peace of Vienna created in 1606. 1606, a Peace of Vienna. Vienna, yes. The Peace of Vienna.
What year was it?
1606. And this was just temporary because 3 years later, in 1609, the Catholic League and the Protestant Union were started. The Catholic League and Protestant Union were started. So two alliances, one for Catholics, one for Protestants. So they're already preparing to fight each other again. 1609, the Catholic League and the Protestant Union. Yes.
1609 was which league was that?
Catholic League and Protestant Union. But no significant action would be taken yet because Ferdinand was waiting for Rudolph to die. Because even though Rudolph had started all this, Ferdinand didn't think he was radical enough. So Ferdinand was waiting for Rudolph to die so he could really push Catholicism the whole way. And let's just go over the Bohemian period. We'll save the rest for tomorrow. So that happens. Ferdinand ends up being elected by the Catholic electors to be the Holy Roman Emperor. So Rudolph dies and Ferdinand gets elected by the Catholic electors to be the Holy Roman Emperor. Protestant electors end up choosing someone else, Frederick V, to be the Holy Roman Emperor. So they're taking sides and choosing two different leaders.
Frederick the Fifth.
You got it. Frederick V. That's Frederick. Frederick.
Someone said FRE.
Protestants are suppressed in Bohemia by Catholics. And the Catholics do get some outside assistance from Spain, which is very loyally Catholic. So Protestants are suppressed in Bohemia, and Catholics get some help to do that from Spain. The Protestant armies do have some success. They conquer Vienna. But it goes back to the other side in 1619.
What year was that?
1619. And in the year 1620, Ferdinand has a massive defeat against Frederick. Frederick ends up losing enormously in 1620 at the Battle of White Mountain. So Ferdinand defeats Frederick in 1620 at the Battle of White Mountain.
So they fight the mountain.
Yes. On the top of a mountain. Only two people can fit up there at once.
It's what? Old?
Why is it called that? That's a good question.
Is it Marble Mountain?
I don't think so.
The graphics are the quartz? Big quartz mountain? That's what's called White Mountain. Beautiful sight.
There would be 27,000 men on the Catholic side and probably around 25,000 on the Protestant side.
How many Protestants?
About 25,000.
And the 25 won.
No, the Catholics won. 27,000. They did, but they also used superior strategy, and plus they had more resources because they were supported by the Spanish Empire and also the Habsburg royal family, which ruled over multiple kingdoms. And of course, they ended up having less losses. The Catholics only ended up having 700 casualties, while the Protestants had about 4,000 altogether.
It's up to you.
Mm.
The rest ran away.
Possibly, yes.
Ooh, Catholic now.
But this wouldn't be the end. Tomorrow, when we continue, we'll look at the next period of time, the Danish and Swedish periods, followed by the French period. So what happens is obviously people within the Holy Roman Empire end up allying with people outside of it to try to help turn the advantage. So we'll continue with this tomorrow. For the remainder of the period, you can have time to finish up your chapters or the AP2 chart or that DBQ document if you have not already. In the last 5 minutes, we'll type in a conclusion about what you learned so far today.